Welcome to a new episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library, recorded live in the recording studio at the library in beautiful Winter Park, Florida. In Books and Beyond, we have conversations with writers, musicians, artists, presenters, and other contributors. Most of our guests have appeared live at the Winter Park Library or will be presenting soon. We hope you'll subscribe to the Books and Beyond podcast and that you'll stay up to date with library goings-on at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. I'm Michael Werner, and I'll be your host for our interviews. Enjoy the show. Hello out there, library patrons, readers, and smart people everywhere. This is Michael Werner. I'm the host of the Books and Beyond podcast, and we are here in the studio today at the beautiful Winter Park Library with Dr. Ruth Edwards, who is the Director of Education here at the library. We'll talk to Ruth a little bit more in just a moment. And we're also here with Mariela Saad, who is the Development Director for an organization called OpenScene here in Winter Park in Orlando. And we will learn more about her in just a moment. But before we get there, I need to do a commercial here. Okay. We're in the studio at the Winter Park Library. And this library is incredible. And I've been lobbying, ever since I've been involved with this podcast for about a year now, to call this the Winter Park University. They won't let me. They won't let me change it. But if it were up to me, I'd call it the Winter Park University. And one reason for that is some of the work that Dr. Ruth does, or a big part of what she does, are the events that we have here at the library. Every month there are over 100 events. And the best way to find out what's going on is to check the library's website, winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. And you'll see everything from kids programs to author lectures to historians to musicians to artists to dancers and singers. I mean, just about anything you could imagine is in this library. So please check it out, winterparklibrary.org/events. And it's now time to introduce the ladies. Okay. Dr. Ruth and Mariela, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah, and we're here specifically today to talk about an event that's happening in February called Heart and Soul, and it's spelled H-E capital A, capital R, capital T, and we'll find out why it's called that in just a moment. Heart and Soul. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk to us about what is this? What is the Heart and Soul?
Heart and Soul is the Winter Park Library's annual celebration of Black culture. Okay. And it is in Black culture in all of its forms and I want to say formats, but that's not correct, but in every aspect. And so there is spoken word, there is dance, there is music, there is art. And so it is an encapsulation of all of those aspects of Black culture, and that's our homage to Black History Month.
Okay. And is it one specific event, or is it stuff that happens or things that happen throughout the month?
It is one specific event. It is usually the fourth Saturday in February. We have done this several years now, 3 years in this building. Prior to that, it was called the African American Read-In, which is a national initiative through the American Library Association, initiated by a retired teacher librarian, really to emphasize and get folks to read. Okay. And so it chimes in with everything else that libraries do in terms of encouraging reading literacy. And so when we moved to this building, we said, we need to do more than just focus on that. We need to expand on it. And we also didn't want to limit it to just African Americans in this country. So we said it's a celebration of Black culture. So that gave us the flex to really look at different aspects of Black culture across the diaspora. And that's really what we...
So it could be Hispanic, it could be African.
Yeah, last year it was Caribbean. We focused on Caribbean culture, and we brought in folks from several different of the Caribbean islands who were present, who participated. We had artwork, we had music, live music, all of that. And so that is the goal every year, to make that a more varied experience and really continue to celebrate and expose people to Black culture across the world.
Okay. And again, what date is that?
It is February 2nd. It is from 2 to 4 p.m.
February 2nd.
February 22nd.
Okay.
Thank you. In my brain, I saw 2-2.
2-2, double 2, yeah.
February 22nd.
Yeah.
And it'll be the whole floor of the library this year. And I'll let Mariela tell you more about that because this one is really, I think, is beyond what we did last year.
And before I ask Mariela to tell us more about that, do we need to sign up for that or do we just come in?
We would encourage people to sign up for it, but I think this year, because it is such a fluid experience, I think you can just come on over.
Okay.
We'd love to have you.
February 22nd. And again, if you want to find out more about it, it's at the website.
It is on the website.
winterparklibrary.org/events. So, Mariela, tell us more.
Awesome. I'm gonna refer to what Dr. Ruth just said. I love how you mentioned it's like a fluid experience, it's really a celebration. We're inviting people to come over, and what's gonna make this experience different is that you're gonna have different stations or interaction points. Where you're gonna be able to learn more about the Harlem Renaissance, which is the theme for these editions of the Heart and Soul event. Yeah. So in different stations, you're gonna be able to interact with history and learn more about it.
So give us an example.
I'm gonna give you an example.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry to jump ahead there.
Example, the first station, we like to call it the mirrors, and then you're gonna be able to see there the silhouette of 4 main characters from the Harlem Renaissance: Josephine Baker, Zora Neale, Duke Ellington, and Bessie Smith. So you're gonna see their body shapes in there, but their faces are gonna be mirrors. So when you stand in there, you're gonna see your face in their bodies, and you're gonna have a QR code that you can scan, and then you're gonna find out more about them, their life, and why they were relevant for the movement.
Who set that up? That's pretty cool.
This was brainstorming. The Winter Park Library has a great team, and with OpenScene, we've been working really hard in setting up this experience. You want another example, Michael?
I do. Another example.
Okay.
Give us a couple more.
So let's go to the second station, and we call it the faces, and basically this is gonna happen at the theater. And people are going to be able to see in there a short documentary. It's going to be mute with subtitles, and they can, if they want a more quiet space, they go in there, and they're going to be able to watch this documentary that gives still more information about this relevant movement. Third station, it's called Looks, and then you're going to be able to see genuine outfits or
Yes.
the dresses that were used during the epoch, right? And we actually partnered with a local vintage store, and they're gonna be giving us genuine pieces from that period.
Okay.
So they're gonna be real ones, not just costumes.
Yeah.
And I want to hear more. We
Yes,
want to hear more.
of
But
course.
before we do that, question for Dr. Ruth or both of you. Actually.
Yes.
Why the Harlem Renaissance this year? Was there a particular reason you chose that?
Well,
And first off, what is the Harlem Renaissance?
The Harlem Renaissance was a period in our country where artists, writers, poets, performers all converged in Harlem.
Okay.
And that's where they met. That's where
It's
they...
in the 1920s or something?
In the 20s, 1920s. And so that was the era of the Cotton Club, and it was big bands, and as you mentioned, Josephine Baker, but Duke Ellington, Count Basie. Some of the writers were James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston. All of these folks would converge, and they created this movement. It wasn't a physical movement, it was a piece of history that they carved out that really encapsulated all of the things they did. And because it was centered in Harlem, I believe that's where the name came from. Mm-hmm. But for me, when we finished Heart and Soul last year looking at the Caribbean experience, and I came out and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? And I saw something online. It was something promoting the works of James Baldwin and Zora Neale Hurston in this combined piece, and I thought, we should do the Harlem Renaissance because we need to focus on that. One, because it's one of those eras that a lot of people don't hold on to, pay attention to. I think I've been around long enough to know what it is. I think if I were to mention this to my niece, who's 23, she wouldn't know what I was talking about because it's not covered in school books. And so that's one of the other things that we intentionally do with everything we do at the library is like, what do we make sure that we either enforce that is happening in schools, or what do we expose people to that they don't know about because it wasn't covered in school books? So a little combination of those, but that's how that title came about.
Okay.
And Mariela and her team, they put together this amazing piece, and we looked at it and we were like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
So
we wanted to be loyal to how prolific that time of history was. So as Dr. Ruth mentioned, there was like all kind of expression, artistic expression, right? Music, literature, poetry, sculpture, like everything
Dance,
was
yeah,
covered,
yeah.
dance. So we're gonna have a little bit of everything
Yeah.
for the people to enjoy. So actually, we encourage people that sign up to, come in their best attire, like
Yeah.
to enjoy this party, because there's gonna be also live music like a live jazz trio,
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
they're gonna
Wow.
have poetry. They're gonna be able to write some poetry. They're gonna be able to take away some poetry with them. So it's gonna be a very unique experience.
Oh, it sounds like a wonderful design.
Yes,
Wonderful
Yeah.
event,
yes.
And we also, between the two organizations, figured out how to keep the reading piece in there. And so while it won't be folks standing on stage, the voices of folks will be reading these different pieces of poetry so that we still have that. And that's going to be going on throughout the event. And so it's really, I think it's just something you have to come and experience.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us more about the stations, Mariela. I
So
interrupted you there.
yeah. So as Dr. Ruth mentioned, we're gonna have that other piece where you're gonna be hearing from the speakers, like the sound system in the library, like people reading this poetry. Then you're gonna have the painting station. You're gonna have like the words. That's where you're gonna be able like to grab poems from poets from that time, and then there's gonna be like a typing machine where people can sit there and based on the experience and what they feel, they can, if they feel like it, they can sit and write their own like words there and share it with the rest. So we want this to be like interactive, enjoyable, where you can learn more, be exposed to all this information, to the richness of the movement, and if you feel creative, like why not?
Sure.
Be part of it.
And are you hoping that people will go in a certain order, or you just
No,
choose any station that
they
you
can
want?
actually enjoy it like in the way they want, right? What catches their eye, their
Okay,
attention.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's no. Yeah.
Okay. And I think you have a couple other stations to tell us about. Yeah.
Yes. Like there's the art exhibition where please, we invite all the artists that want to apply for the art exhibition. We're gonna select some pieces to be displayed on the main area,
Okay.
the central area of the library.
All ages, or is this aimed at kids? Or
Yes,
I think it's
all ages.
It's a family
All
event.
ages.
So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So please feel free to, the information. It's on the Winter
On the
Park
website.
Library website, so you can find everything in there. And then the music, the live music, the trio playing jazz, you're gonna find it by the beautiful staircase. And that staircase from the library, we're gonna intervene it where we're gonna have like a beautiful art piece, like put from, you see that curve on the central staircase?
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be like some art in there also kind of like highlighting that area.
I want to do this now. I want to
Yes, we're very excited. We
It's
hope to
exciting.
see
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yes.
What time is it, by the way?
2:00 to 4 p.m.
2 to 4. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And anything else you want to tell us, Mariela, about stations? Or
Come ready to have a great time. Come ready to learn, to share your experience. There's gonna be also food.
I was going to say the
Yes.
food. Tell them about
There's
the
also
food.
gonna be
Food.
food.
Always
Oh,
have food.
Yes, so we're gonna have like a food truck in the outside of the library.
Yeah.
It's a marvelous it's soul food that's gonna be there
Okay,
available
wonderful.
to the public, and we encourage you to come try it and enjoy it. This is like a local two sisters actually that own like this
Nice.
truck, and we wanted to support local and make sure that
And that's their business? I mean,
yes,
they do this truck
that's
all
their
the time.
business.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, they do their truck all the time, and they're gonna be here, and they're super excited to share their delicious food. So.
Oh, that's
And I'm
wonderful.
going to tag on, you said something about support local. Every year that we've done this, we've engaged the caterer was a local caterer. The art is provided by local artists who bring their wares in, and we would set it up. So everything really is focused on engaging local folks who participate and perform. So this year we just continue that trend.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Yeah.
How do you get that word out to people? I mean, just
So in previous years, we actually have put out an all call via our social media, and our marketing department is really good at helping us do that. This year, I believe they're doing it through their social media, and we're co-promoting it.
That's right.
To get folks to bring their artworks in, so we have it.
wonderful.
So we have it also on Visit Florida and different like community calendars that we
Excellent.
put it out there. So
Interesting.
yes.
Mariela, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your organization?
Of
about
course,
OpenScene,
yes.
what you do. And,
OpenScene.
Yeah.
We're a Latin woman-led organization, and we curate and create unexpected experiences. And our big deal is that we want to connect communities through the arts, right? We live in a world that's very polarized. We want to find like our common ground and then tell you like, hey, come and enjoy of arts, come and enjoy of culture, and it doesn't matter what your background is, what your language is, you're just here to, come, enjoy, and there's always like a learning component, a reflecting component, but yes, that's what we do, and we're very excited with this collaboration with the Winter Park Library. This is not our first time. We presented here a series of
Classes, right?
yes,
Yeah.
like we did the opera, like an opera where we had like the singer, the opera singer showing or performing one of the most relevant arias in history, and then he would explain the story behind like how the composer came to write this story. So no, we're very excited, and I invite everyone to join us on the 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. It's gonna be guaranteed fun. It's gonna fun time.
Sounds
Yes.
wonderful. Dr. Edwards,
Yes.
what ideas and hopes do you have, other visions you have for this program for Heart and Soul? What are you thinking about?
Well, actually, it doesn't happen until after the event ends, and then I go, okay. So
You start panicking, right?
Well, no, I start thinking, okay, so what's next? And I start floating ideas, and I talk to my team a couple of times. One time, I think this one just came straight out of my head because I saw that piece. But I talk with my team. We meet regularly, and we start thinking about what is next year going to look like. And it's very organic because something always happens in community or in society that goes, oh, we should focus on that. Mm-hmm. And so literally I won't know until the Sunday afterwards, and I'm going, okay, what's next year going to look like?
Right. Because you really do. I mean, you have to plan that far in advance.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Start thinking about
We
it.
do, yeah.
What other events might be on hand for us here at the library relate to African American culture, history, or?
Oh, my goodness. So this year, because of the establishment of the Unity Corner right here up the street from us where the Martin Luther King statue will be put up,
Yes.
we actually have a whole...
Is that in the park?
It's going to be
us?
right at the corner of Morse and Denning.
Okay.
And you see, if you pass by, go down Morse, and you see that construction curtain, they're building the Unity Corner as we speak, and
Okay.
I believe they're just waiting for the statue to be brought in.
Okay.
And so one of the things that the city asked us to do, or in partnership with them, was develop a series of educational pieces about Martin Luther King. And so we have what we call ML King Memorial Lectures. There's a Martin and Friends movie that's going to happen early in the month. I think it's February 1st. We are actually having a panel discussion with representatives from
And what
three
is that
local
about?
unions.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. The Martin and Friends movie.
Martin and Friends, it's a movie about Martin Luther King, and it's about these teenagers who, I guess back and forth, somehow they end up going back in time and walking along like Martin Luther King's life and experiencing him at different ages in his life. Okay. And the interesting thing to me is that this movie is it's not new, it's pretty old, but his children, 3 of his children voice the characters in this movie.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Dexter King, Yolanda King, maybe it's just Dexter and Yolanda voice a couple of the characters, and we have big name actors, Samuel Jackson and Whoopi Goldberg, that voice the characters in this movie. So it's a really cool way to introduce people to Martin Luther King from youth to adult, and doing it through the eyes of teens and tweens. So that one happens on February 1st. You have to check the calendar for the time. The African Americans in Labor panel is February 2nd. And I said it's 3 unions who are talking about how African Americans showed up in labor in this country, like what they did, whether skilled, unskilled, professional, however, across the broad spectrum of labor in terms of working in this country to make things happen. And then the series of lectures are several times through the month. We have one is called A Dream Deferred. It's a minister who is the M.L. King. He's not the endowed chair, but he's the historian at a university out of Kentucky. He's coming in to do a lecture for us.
Wonderful.
Yeah, there's another gentleman coming in, and I forget the title of his talk, but I promise you everything is on the calendar. But it's just probably about 8 to 10 different things focused on Martin Luther King, who he was, how he was, and really helping to promote why his presence is important as we lead into putting the statue in Unity Corner.
Oh, they sound like great events.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're really amazing.
Yeah.
So
Sounds fantastic.
thank
really.
you.
And I mean, culminating in the event on the 22nd, the Heart and Soul event. Ladies, before we wrap up here, any final comments or anything you want to say?
Just come see us on February 22nd. Be here for Heart and Soul. I want you to
Be here to celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate, experience, and I want you to leave, feeling like, wow, I would have never guessed that. And I want you to really experience the Harlem Renaissance. So come on, come on.
Sounds like a great event. I'm coming. Talk me into it. Yeah, February
We'll see
22nd.
you.
Yeah,
We'll see you.
I want to do it. And it's a great chance if you haven't been to the library just to check out this wonderful space or set of spaces that we have here at the library.
Beautiful.
We also have books.
We do. We still have books.
You can check those out as well. Well, Ruth and Mariela, I really appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you so much.
Absolutely.
And thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thanks, everyone, for being here for this wonderful episode. And I did want to mention that this project is funded in part by the United Arts of Central Florida. It's your local agency for the arts. So we appreciate them, and we appreciate all of you for coming to the event on February 22nd at 2 p.m. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library. This podcast would not be possible without the generous help and support from the library staff, and especially from Jeremy Zorn. Jeremy's official title is Public Services Librarian, but he does many things here at the library, including producing this podcast. We can't do this without you, Jeremy. Our theme music is from the song Don't Go by Bovine Joe and the Buffalo Herd. That's Herd spelled H-E-A-R-D. We hope you'll let your friends and others know about this podcast and that you'll come by the library for one of our offerings, which you can find at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. If you have questions or suggestions for the podcast or just want to talk about Books and Beyond, please send an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. That's an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. Remember that the Winter Park Library promotes the free and open exchange of ideas and does not attempt to control or take responsibility for any opinions that may be expressed in this podcast. Opinions expressed in this podcast do not constitute or imply an endorsement or a reflection of the library's policies or beliefs. This is Michael Werner, wishing you well until our next episode of Books and Beyond.